So I wasn't recording. So we gonna run this shit back. And I'm bringing it to you twice.
We didn't find a middle ground in that question, but we're going to move on to our next question, which is, are depressed men weak?
I would definitely say that depressed men are weak. I was heavily depressed. I'm a cancer survivor. And with that came clinical depression, anxiety disorder. I gave up on life. I didn't want to live. And that's because I was weak. Coming out of that, I'm stronger than ever before.
Bless you for that, brother. You got through that. But what I'm saying is, ultimately, the depression part of it is a weak mindset.
Right, yeah.
So that is weak.
Like when your family member dies, like you definitely have times, but like you shouldn't like label yourself as I'm a depressed person. It's like I'm going through it like a sad state right now. Like it's tough times, but you gotta pull through it, and that's what we all agree on. Is that being strong means coming out of that, right? And not like because like killing yourself is the weakest to do.
That type of sentiment saying that like men who have depression are weak leads to men killing themselves. So I want to push back against that. There's so many studies that show that men who hold those types of views are more than 2 times as likely to kill themselves. So I would, I'm like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, we'll give it.
Who else wants to?
Both sides will agree, yes, being depressed is weak, but they're going to say it's okay to be weak. And I think that we say it's not okay to be weak, because as men, as a traditional man, it's our job to be strong even when we feel weak.
I don't agree with that.
That needs to be said. Anyway,
I don't agree with that at all. I am a gay man, and my experiences within the gay community and the depression that I've gone through is a completely different perspective from a straight perspective. But my ability to fight through that and to stand and the things I've overcome have made me really strong.
I've struggled with depression myself. I have ADHD, I'm neurodivergent, and that does predispose you to depression, anxiety, and other things. Despite that, I don't feel weak. I was a former top cop. I was the youngest cop in my state. I teach women how to beat up dirtbag men. So I don't feel weak despite having those struggles with depression and anxiety.
It causes men to have this complex that if they aren't enough for their family, if they're not enough for themselves, then who are they going to be enough for? Why are they even here?
If you let your depression win, you're weak. So you could be depressed, but you still go through life. Like if you're just laying in bed all day, then yeah, I would say you're probably weak. But coming from like a biblical standpoint, it says that the righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up. You will fall, and so that's okay, but get back up. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Two different ways to argue this. I think that we have one who studied it, is very intellectual about it, and is very passionate about this case, and we have another study where this person is traditionally gone through a lot of masculine things, so showing their masculinity, and very much so gives that example of depression does not make you weak.
Chad, raise your hand. Oliver? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, sounds like we have a clear winner. All right. We're still working it out. We're so good at this. If only we could win elections like this.
All right, both sides have selected their speakers, so let's bring forward Alex and Oliver. All right, so the question is, are depressed men weak? I'm going to let you guys see if you can come to a middle ground statement. You've got 8 minutes. Go for it.
I'll let you go.
Okay, sure, yeah. So, I'm coming from the perspective that I don't think that depressed men are weak. I think that depression is something that needs to be taken very seriously, and I think that statements like depressed men are weak are exactly the kind of rhetoric that perpetuates the problem, that leads to people being stuck, including myself, experienced with depression, being stuck in this type of rut that you can't get out of. And the moment that I kind of like acknowledged myself, where other people were telling me, but I was really like, oh my God, am I a weak man? Am I, somehow lacking in some sort of way? The moment I, put that aside and just was like, no, depression is a mental illness. Once I, got past that and, got the help that I needed, it was really the moment that I started to emerge from that. So I think that that type of statement is part of the problem and something that I want to push back
Okay,
against.
but what you would say is staying in a state of depression, I would consider that weak, right? Depression in and of itself isn't weak, but when you label yourself as a depressed person or you let that win you over, that is weakness.
So I would disagree because I think it's important to define problems as what they are. We don't solve cancer by not calling it cancer. We acknowledge that a problem exists, and how we respond to that is very important. But I don't think saying we shouldn't call people depressed because then they'll know that they're depressed or that they'll rot in that sort of state.
No, but I'm saying like labeling yourself as a depressed person, like saying that is part of my identity. If an athlete is injured in that second, I think he's weaker than he normally is. That doesn't mean he's weak overall, but in that second, yeah.
Is it weak to say that he's injured? Is it weak for him to claim, I am currently injured? I want to get better, but I'm currently injured.
No, but he's weaker.
For sure, people are definitely in a weaker headspace. Right. But I think, and maybe I'm putting these like prescriptions onto this idea that aren't correct. So when I hear the claim men who are depressed are weak, I think of, oh, they're less manly. They need to get over it. They need to power through and grit. And it's I heard this from someone who was over there from your side. It's just it's a weak mindset. It's a choice type of thing, and I reject that because it is a clinical diagnosis that people receive when they are depressed.
We all go through states of depression. I think no one here would argue that you're never going to be in a state of depression, right? Things happen where you do feel depressed.
There's depression and there's people who describe themselves as being depressed. I think it's important to separate those two because you can feel sad. Of course, everyone feels sad. Everyone has mood changes. Depression is clearly defined as persistent, like feeling bad regardless of the things that are going on in your life, even when things are going well.
Right, but I don't think the prompt was saying that depression makes you less of a man, because I'm weaker, right? Sure. I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
A squirrel could beat me in an arm wrestling match, right? I don't think anyone here would say I'm less of a man.
Sure.
Right?
Okay, and I'm glad that those connotations are not present.
Okay, cool, yeah, but my stance is you got to keep on moving. Like, you just have to, and you might have to take medication. I'm not against it. I'm pretty sure some people on my side are going to be against taking medication, But
I'm glad they're not up here.
You have to do what you have to do. Right? But I feel like society most of the times is okay. They say that it's okay to rot in it.
I really don't think that's largely the case. I think it definitely is in some subsets of the internet that you'll find. But I think most people, I think the way we treat mental illness is it's really hard for us to grapple with it because it's not visual. There's this idea that when you break your arm, everyone comes to sign your cast. When you say you're depressed, they don't know what to do and run the other direction. And I think it's really important to break that type of stigma that mental illness is a real thing. I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate. I'm sure there's some people who don't really think it's a real thing. Oh, you just need to get over yourself. You need to work harder. Back in my day, we just said that we were, sad and we pushed through.
Well, we see it on TV. So we see it all the time, all over the place, where it's like, hey, I can't get up out of bed today. Oh, you know what? Mental health day. I don't disagree. But I think we are, as a society, letting that be a norm and letting that be okay, which I don't think it should be necessarily all the time. Because there's times where you have to get something done, and you can't just say like, hey, I'm gonna take a mental health day. Parents, I'm not a parent, but I'm pretty sure parents are here. They are depressed. They have to care for their kids.
Yeah. And I think you and I would both agree that like it's irresponsible if you're a parent or something of that nature to neglect your responsibilities because of mental illness. However, I do think it's very much the case that mental illness can be debilitating, can be crippling.
So weakness.
Yeah. Well, again,
So
fine.
weak,
Okay, fine.
yeah.
Sure. Then you're defining weakness in such a way that it has no connotation behind it. If you want to say someone who is depressed is in a weaker mental state because they're not able to function as well, then I guess we agree. But that doesn't really get to any of the societal implications where there might be some disagreement between you and me as
and I think we've done that, but I think
yeah.
we could agree that depression is weakness then.
Okay, so I would agree with your literal statement. The problem is there are a lot of connotations. When you say something's weak, it's like, oh, it should be looked down upon. That person is doing something that...
No, because I'm weak, so I don't want to be looked down upon.
I agree, and I'm very glad. But I think if someone were to like look at you, oh yeah, you're weak. That would be, but it wouldn't just be a literal factual statement about the nature of the world as it exists. It would be a normative judgment upon you as a person. In many cases, if someone calls disabled people weak, would you just be like, yeah, we are? Or would you be like, you're kind of an asshole, man?
It depends a lot on context. I agree with you, but well, then we would have to take everyone's opinion on it and stuff like that.
Just we're up on time, so I want to push you guys towards offering a middle ground statement.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate the question, it was, are depressed men weak?
I'll let you.
Sure. So here's, I guess, and this is why I would say I don't want to use the word weak. The use of the word men in the phrase makes it very gendered. If it was just are depressed people weak, then maybe I'd give a little more credence to this idea that we're just talking about descriptively what is factually the case. But I think when you insert men in there, there's this idea that depressed men are weak because men shouldn't be weak. Men shouldn't be burdened by their emotions or burdened by illness of the mind. It's just something they have to power through. So because of that, here's the middle ground that I guess I would propose to you, and you're welcome to respond to me on this. Depression does not inherently make someone weak. Men are not inherently weak because they're depressed. However, if you let that consume you entirely and you shackle other responsibilities, or you claim that you have no responsibility for your own mental illness. Oh yeah, I'm mentally ill, therefore I can tweet anti-Semitic things all over the internet. I'm not talking about anyone in particular.
Let's reel it in.
So, sorry about that. But regardless, so that's kind of the middle ground I would propose. I don't know if that's too long, but
okay. Can we agree on the middle ground that if you're a man and you allow your depression to win you over, then you're weak?
I allow you to win you over. I think there's a lot of different things that are going on there. I also would kind of want to, if possible, degender that idea. If anyone...
We're on a gendered episode.
Well, we are. You're right that we are. You are correct that we are. However, I think it is true because men exist, and because men exist, women also exist. Women don't just not exist because we all happen to be in a room with...
Yeah, but we're not talking about women in this instance.
I don't think that's necessarily the case because we live in a society that is inherently gendered.
So I agree with you, but this episode...
Of course.
Okay, so Alex, what would your statement be if you want to give us a draft?
A middle ground, I would say, if you succumb to your depression, then you are weak. If you allow your depression to take over your life and you don't seek help and you kind of just use it as an excuse for your life or for your poor choices, and I would say that's weak.
And I have one more question for you. A lot of men who succumb to their depression are ones who end up with a bullet in their head. Are they weak in your mind?
I would say so, yes.
You'd say they're weak. Men who kill themselves because of their depression are weak.
Yes.
And I think that exact idea is what leads more men to kill themselves.
Well, okay, so I don't, there's a strong disagreement there, and there's a lot to discuss there. But let's try and make our way back to what do you think is something that he would agree on? So he said letting depression take over your life is not a good solution. So do you have like a counter?
Do you think it makes do you think it makes a man weak to seek medical remedies or to seek out treatment?
No, I'm in a wheelchair right now. I have to see a doctor every 3 months.
Okay,
so.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
If the pills are helping you in that, then yeah, go for it. If you need to get out of the woods, seek Christ, whatever it is that you need to do.
Okay.
Do that.
Yeah, I don't think I really disagree with any part of that.
Okay, so it sounds like we're landing on if a man is depressed, he should seek treatment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Men who are depressed should seek treatment.
Men should seek treatment.
Awesome.
All right.
Do I think depressed men are weak? No. Yeah, let me know how y'all feel in the comments.